right, welcome to Out of the Blue from the Block and Podcast Network, part of the Fan First Sports Network. Brothers and sisters, other podcasts are lesser houses. House Dustin, House Manderley. Brother, this is House Stark up in here. I am Jared Stormer of the Block and Podcast Network. With me, as always, is Andy Bailey, my hetero life mate of the same place and time. Andy Bailey, the inspiration for the film Seabiscuit. How the hell are you, brother?
You know what's funny is like when I played basketball, my nickname was Seabiscuit on the team.
Why? I just made that up out of nowhere.
White with red hair, and all I could do was run.
I'm really happy that that's actually a thing that I didn't know about.
No, ties in kind of nicely, but I'm great, man. How are you?
I'm doing tremendous, brother. We have football this month. It'd be difficult for me to be better.
It's so nice to be back. Like, we don't go another weekend without football until late February. Like, we are in just prime of it right now, man. And like, obviously the Lions took a beating, but it's only the preseason, you know, it's okay. And it just felt nice to watch ball again.
Yeah. Hall of Fame game, I'm not going to put any credence to, but there is football and there will be football until February. The good Lord has wrapped us in a blanket, holds us warmly against his chest, and we are in his embrace now.
I love how this has become a bit.
Well, we got no shortage of those.
I'm like,
yeah,
Jared,
brother.
I'm watching the town, and you're like, the Lord is holding us in his embrace.
Is he not?
True.
We got a great podcast for you tonight. Because we are so close and like we can really dive in now, it is time to start previewing opponents, brother. We're going to go backwards from the end of the season, moving ever closer to the start of the season when we will preview week 1 opponent, New Mexico, right before the start of the season. So we've got weeks 10 through 12, as well as a preview of the secondary. So this is a jam-packed podcast, brother.
Starting to feel real. Like after last week, kind of setting the tone for the season with the Big Ten over-unders, I feel like this is that first step. And I can't believe it's already time to do team previews.
I mean, we've got 7-on-77 back. We've got fall camp. We're getting some nuggets coming out. Like, it is as real as it gets up until the week before when I just won't be able to sleep for a week and a half. And I couldn't be more excited about it, brother. Let's get into it. Let us touch the banner. Starting at the top, we got another commitment. 2027 3-star Tristan Dare commit, 6'4", 290-pound interior offensive lineman. Looking at this list of offers, shouldn't be a 3-star much longer. I completely agree with your take from the doc here, being as how he had offers from Ohio State, Oklahoma, Penn State, Florida State, and more. So this is a great get. Great get. Can he play center? Been waiting for us to get the center of the future.
We already have guaranara sauce. We're okay in the middle right now. I think they're banking a lot on that, but I love it, man. I love bolstering the trenches. I think getting in on early prospects like this that are going to rise is very important, shows a commitment to them and to their growth. I love it, man. I mean, we'll see if it sticks. We're still a year and a half away, but I like getting in on it early.
If he rocks the number 69, I might have to get a Dare 69 jersey. That'd be pretty elite. But we'll see. We got a year and a half.
See what we can do.
See what we can do about that. Preseason polls are coming out. That's how freaking real it's getting, brother. Michigan number 14 in preseason coaches poll. Other Big Ten teams worth mentioning: number 2, Ohio State; number 3, Penn State; number 7, Oregon; 12, Illinois; and 19, Indiana. You and I tend not to be the type to overreact about this sort of thing because that would be a waste of our very precious breath. But what do you think?
Preseason polls are inherently dumb, and I don't think any are dumber than the coaches poll.
Yeah, this is stupid. That being said, 14, fine. I'm fine with it. You know, plenty of room to work with. I think we came in last year like not too dissimilar from that. 19
like
maybe, something like that.
Like 12 I don't or something.
Yeah,
but,
I don't remember. Yeah, this year I feel a little bit more confident about finishing in the top 15, but we will certainly, as things get a little bit more real, discuss the coaches poll and the rankings and all that stuff. Bruce Feldman's freak list. Take us through it, brother.
2 Wolverines made the cut this year. Marlon Klein came in at number 35. I'll have more on him in a little bit. Sophomore Manuel Beagle, Manny Beegs, came in at number 62. Your take?
Not the 2 I was expecting. Klein I could see. He is a big German dude. I'm definitely known for pretty elite strength, and we've heard from some of the stuff from camp this week that he's one of the best blockers on the team. That is not news to me. He was an excellent blocker last year, incredibly strong. Will he get a chance to actually like display that freakiness, you know, that you kind of envision when you hear the Feldman freak list? I don't know, but that one makes sense to me. Manny Beegs, that one came as a bit of a surprise. Not somebody we talk about ad nauseum on this podcast.
I like the Feldman freak list. I do. I find it entertaining. But he always finds 1 or 2 names in there just to kind of be like, look how much I know. Like the year Aiden Hutchinson, I believe, was 1 or 2. Julius Welshoff was like 7th. And we were like, okay, Come on. I know what you're doing here. It's a little cute, but I appreciate it putting the list together still.
Seems to have a thing for Germans.
It does, yeah. I mean, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a thing. If we were taking other Wolverines, I thought maybe an Underwood, maybe a Jordan Marshall, based on Max Bredesen's comments last week, a player like that, maybe like a Mason Curtis.
That's the one you mentioned I like a lot. Mason Curtis, to me, is a freak. Like, that guy should not be able to play safety as well as he does.
But nonetheless, we have Manny Biggs in the middle, so add his name to the defensive depth.
Jay-Sean Barham seems like low-hanging fruit, too.
It's a great pull.
Bruce Feldman?
No, Barham.
Like, no, neither of them.
When we were speaking to a reporter once, she was like, it was the first time a player had ever said just no. And Barham doesn't do press, doesn't do anything. So I wonder if just like that introverted nature kept him off the list.
That's an interesting take. I like that. We have absolutely nothing to go on, certainly not reporting that, but could be the case. Why? You're inundated with Manuel Beagle interviews right now? Get this guy to shut up.
Got a lot of Manny Biggs tape I've been grinding, okay? Just wait.
Well, I hope he's right about that, but yeah, probably more likely that he falls in the Julius Welshoff camp. Michigan fall roster is out, brother. This is your baby. I know you love talking about it. Take us through it.
It's a big day for me. There weren't as many like up and down, like too overly dramatic ones. A few big takeaways though from it was, firstly, this dropped early this year. I was very happy about that. Normally it's like late, like middle November, late at night. It comes out and then I'm just up till 1 a.m. just ranting to my wife. A few big takeaways from this one, though. The freshmen are in ridiculously good shape, man. Shamari Earls, Bryce Underwood, Andrew Babalola all put on good weight, muscle, ready to go for the Big Ten. Nate Marshall slimmed down. That was a big one that stood out to me as well. So coming in as a true edge to add some more depth to that room. A second takeaway was the wide receiver room looks like a Big Ten receiving room again. Like having 2 6'5" bodies with Donovan McCulley and Jamar Browder, and not to mention Andy Marsh clocking in just a little over 6 feet. Like, just looks much more balanced. You want it to look like a basketball team, and now they finally have some height to go with the shorter, quicker guys. Lastly, the defensive interior is stout, man. There are some big boys in the middle of this defense now. Eno Etta fully committed to the position switch up to, I believe, 320 pounds. Rayshon Benny also over 3 bills now. A player we're going to talk about as well, and Giovanni El Hadi talked about how last year he just wasn't really locked in. Like, didn't take his weight as serious, played super light, and he said, to quote, never again. So he's back up around 320, 325 right now. Says he's feeling great and stronger than ever. So I think that was an emphasis on the interior from both sides of it.
Yeah, El Hadi, this is it for him. And he's got a real chance with a great season to go play at the next level. So I would hope that he's taking this as serious as a heart attack because he's got a real opportunity here. Another one that stood out to me and something that we've heard from the coaches as well is Jordan Marshall has his grown man body. I don't think that there was any one development I was looking for more than the Jordan Marshall puts on some good weight this season, because you go back and watch ReliaQuest, which I have done many times, and it's like, man, if that guy had an extra 12 pounds, like he's not bouncing back. He's going through these tackles. He's falling forward for an extra half a yard, an extra yard every time. It's going to make a huge difference. It's also going to help him keep healthy, stay healthy throughout the rigors of a Big Ten season. So, yeah, some good moves as far as weights are concerned there. Some other fall camp news. Wink Martindale considers Cam Brandt and Jimmy Rolder as third starters. I don't think either of those come as too big of a surprise. I think we were kind of penciling them in as guys that you were going to see a lot of, particularly Cam Brandt. But Jimmy Rolder was right there for us as well. So love to hear that. And then Cole Sully in freak shape. Loved hearing that. This is a pro Jimmy Rolds, Cole Sully podcast. I mean, those guys sounds like they used to work down at the Bowery, just like lugging shipping goods. I mean, when there's a grain shortage, Cole Sullivan and Jimmy Rolder are on the docks, seeing that the grain is getting to town. Super excited for all those guys.
Sounds like season 2 of The Wire. This is just tremendous news. I mean, we talked about it a little bit in the spring, but to just hear it reaffirmed from Wink Martindale himself has to make everyone feel good. I'm sticking on the defense. TJ Metcalf is really impressing and standing out at camp right now. Martindale said he feels like a year 2 player, how well he knows the system and is acclimated in there. So we're going to talk about the secondary tonight, but hearing that, I think, adds a lot of confidence to the room.
Agreed. Let's save it for the secondary preview on any follow-ups there. QB competition remains open, but unsurprisingly, it's feeling like Bryce Underwood is ahead, pretty much what we expected at this point. They're also going to say it's open. I would be very surprised with Mikey Keene's availability if they're not already planning New Mexico with Bryce Underwood in mind as the starting quarterback.
Dude, don't count out Jake Garcia, man. He's only 1 touchdown away from evening out his touchdowns to interceptions.
Can we keep it pushing, please?
Yes.
I'd like to talk about. Look, I mean, this really feels like the Jared agenda come full circle, and the fact that it's TJ Guy, a shared love of ours,
Yes.
Guy Island, saying that Jair Hill and Andrew Sprague are the biggest risers. The agenda is in tremendous shape over here in the Stormer household. Love, love, love hearing that. And you and I were kind of talking. We got to save it.
Yeah,
we'll save the Jair
part,
Hill
yeah.
Zeke. We'll save the Jair Hill Zeke Berry stuff. But Sprague, one of my early hot takes was I think he could end the season as the most talented of the offensive line. I mean, Andy Babs could certainly throw a wrench into that,
Yeah.
but I think his ceiling is extremely, extremely high, and high for this season too.
Yeah, and update on left tackle, it seems to be between Andrew Babalola and Evan Link, who's apparently having a really good camp right now. So between those two, we'll see what happens. If Andrew Babalola were to win, he'd be only the second true freshman in Michigan history to start the season opener.
And stuff there. Mason Cole being the other one, correct? Yep. Yes, and remember that one. I don't think we were covering them yet, but we were certainly watching.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we were locked in, and we know how great of a career Mason Cole had at multiple positions.
Yeah, that dude was utilitarian as they come. A couple housekeeping notes before we get into the meat of this podcast. Shout out to producer Tony, absolutely killing it right now in the video content. Please go check us out on Instagram, on Twitter, on YouTube, all this stuff going up around the board, trying to grow this year. And that brings me to my second point. Next week, you're going to want to tune in. The giveaways are going to begin fast and furious starting next week. So I'm not going to give it away just yet. What we are going to be doing, it should be a really fun promotion. For those of you that have been locked in with us from the beginning and that were participants in the first one of these, we've got t-shirts coming for you. I've got a list. That should be sometime. We'll have the logo by week 1. So I don't know, a couple weeks into the season, we'll get those out and distributed. But we've got something much bigger for next week, so you're going to want to tune in as we really, really make a push to grow. Thank you to everyone that's been with us from the beginning, but now it's time to get some new listeners.
Time to spread the word, man. Let them know about the gospel that we're preaching over here, or spewing, as some would put it, but doing the work nonetheless.
I'm doing something here.
That's all we want people to know.
All right, my friend, anything else from you before we get into the meat of this and start previewing games? I cannot wait.
Let's dive in. Come on.
Let's do this. Weeks 10 through 12, as we mentioned, we're going to start at the end, work our way back. We'll make some predictions, some light predictions here. The official predictions will become the week before as far as scores. Might predict win-loss and give you like what the spread might be, what we think the spread would be if they were to play right now. Yeah, I think we can absolutely do that. So we'll start Northwestern, we'll go Maryland, and of course, you got to close with Ohio State. No other way to do it. So week 10 at Northwestern, Saturday, November 15th. Last year they played at Michigan, which was, in my opinion, and I don't really think that there's much of an argument here, the most complete victory, 50-6 in favor of the Michigan Wolverines. In that game, Khalil Mullings was big, 12 rushes for 92, 3 touchdowns, a career high. Davis Warren threw the ball 35 times. Felt like they might be trying to get him ready for Ohio State in that, for $195, a touchdown and an interception. As far as people that would be back on this year's team, there were 6 sacks on Jack Lausch. Ernest Hausman had 1. TJ Guy had 1. How about an Eno Etta sighting? When I went back and rewatched the game with a half a sack, had a Mason Curtis interception. I rewatched this one yesterday. It was a fun rewatch. Probably the most fun rewatch outside of Ohio State because we're sickos and, you know, that one just carries some weight. But a thorough victory last year in in Chicago.
It's in Chicago this year.
It's in Chicago this year. It was in the Big House last year. Yep. But yes, you know what I meant. Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, so they're playing at Wrigley this year, and I think Northwestern's going to be better. Like, I think Michigan's going to be better. I think Northwestern's going to be better. But full disclosure, I mean, Northwestern to me is kind of like M. Night Shyamalan movies. Like, I always find a way to talk myself in. Like, I'm just always going to talk myself into this team for one reason or another. This team won 4 games last year, and they were a double OT away from 5 wins with the worst roster in the Big Ten. And I think the selling point to me is, for like, one of the biggest reasons for improvement is SMU transfer quarterback Preston Stone, who has 28 games of experience, and although he struggled last year after losing his QB coach and OC Jonathan Brewer, 2 years ago he threw for over 3,000 yards, 28 touchdowns, only 6 picks. And compared to what Northwestern had last year, it's going to look like Brett Favre back.
Yeah, Jack Lausch, who I believe is actually back, but not expected to win that. Yeah, not going to win that. Cam Porter is back as well, I believe. On the offensive line, they bring back their left tackle and their center, which is always great. If you have to bring back 2 on the O-line, those would be the 2 I choose. On defense, Aiden Hubbard on the defensive line, they expect big things from him. They've got linebacker Mac Uline. I believe I said that correctly. In the back end, they've got Josh Fusel and Brandon Turner. So they're bringing back a decent amount on a defense that it's not going to wow you statistically. I mean, in the Big Ten, it was tough, but this was a fine defense. 26 points per game. That was 79th in the country. Again, that's not going to really wow you too much. But they only allowed 1,500 rushing yards. They were number 37 in the country. Stout against the run. I think they'll be stout against the run again under second season coordinator Tim McGarrigle. Little note here, he's a Northwestern alum, the school's all-time leading tackler, FBS all-time career tackler, 545 stops, second season there at Northwestern. So that's a stud.
This defense was kind of similar to the Michigan defense last year, where they were just playing with an arm tied behind their back because the offense was abysmal. But Tim McGarrigle, I can't pronounce that. Nick Garrigle, close enough. 8th year of the program, man. I mean, 2nd year as DC, but he's been there a long time, kind of like earned his stripes under Pat Fitzgerald and has carried that over. And we talked about the defense being good last year. I think they're going to be better, man. I know they lose Xander Mueller, but their leading tackler, you mentioned, is back. They're bringing a lot of key pieces, and I just think they're going to improve.
Yeah, and as good as they were on the run, they did allow 22 rushing touchdowns, only 15 passing touchdowns. They were number 89 in the country, 232 yards per game through the air. That was the way to attack this team. Part of the reason maybe why Davis Warren threw the ball so much against them is that's how you wanted to attack them last year. This season, I do think they're going to be better against the pass as well. So as much as I think we both went under for them, or was this one of your overs? You went over. Yeah, we disagreed on this. I had him as under, you had him at over. And like the more I dove in, the more I kind of see what you were seeing. It's like, oh, there's some continuity here. You're bringing back the coaching staff. This is a respectable defense that should get better. The passing game should improve. The passing game last year, just not good enough. 7 passing touchdowns on the year. Ain't gonna cut it. I mean, we're no one to talk, but
it's like, I mean, everything was bad on offense. 128th in scoring, 130th in total, 7th in passing, and somehow they were worse rushing at 123. It made no sense, but also this is year 2 of Zach Lujan, the young OC prodigy from South Dakota State. And one strategy I've really liked that Northwestern has done this year is they've brought in several South Dakota State transfers, and it kind of reminds me of what Kurt Cignetti did at Indiana with JMU transfers. Get guys in there that know your system, and although they're new, they're not really new because they're already familiar.
Yeah, no, that's a really great take, and like we said, continuity on the coaching staff, always love to see that. It's very difficult when you're constantly coming in and trying to change up the system, so that'll help them. Let's talk a little bit about where this falls on the schedule. So last year, this was exactly the team we needed going into Ohio State. Really worked as a get-right game and like try some things out. This year, it falls. Who do we got week 9? Sorry, I don't have it in front of me.
We have Purdue
coming off the bye
week, and then Northwestern.
So, I mean, that's a pretty cake little 3-week stretch there for us. But this will be a good, like, get back into the swing of things game. But also, like we're saying, not the kind of Northwestern team you want to fully overlook. We should be able to out-talent them, but what's your take on where this falls in the schedule?
Michigan cannot come out of the bye sleepwalking. Last year, they came out of the bye and they played very sloppy against Illinois. Diving back into the numbers, it was more frustrating than I remember. In the Illinois game, Michigan outgained the Illini 322 to 267 and won time of possession by 7 minutes, but lost the turnover battle 3-0 and lost by a pair of touchdowns. They cannot come out sloppy like that against Northwestern.
No. And from Northwestern's standpoint, they have to go at Nebraska, bye week, at USC, and then Michigan at home. They are going to circle this one as the game, like, if we're going to get one of these big programs, this is the one they're probably circling, like, we've got to find a way here. So very good point about Michigan not being able to come in and sleepwalk for this one. There's not really a lot of games you can sleepwalk through, like Purdue, New Mexico, you can probably show up and give a half-ass effort and still get through. But I have more respect for this Northwestern team after doing a deep dive on them. I don't think you'll be able to sleepwalk.
Another stat I like about this team is like they have good special teams. They were 11th in the country last year in blocked kicks and punts. So looking for ways to kind of win on the periphery a little bit, and that's a way to like shorten these games against teams that are more talented than you. And what's funny is how I've seen a lot of lists talking about coaches on the hot seat in different conferences, and David Braun's name's being mentioned. He only has 1 fewer win than Luke Fickell at Wisconsin. And
wow.
Luke Fickell got the extension, and David Braun's on the hot seat. And look at the prestige of each program.
That's incredible to me. I'd be surprised if David Braun's on the hot seat in Northwestern. That might just be like a national take, to be honest. This is year 2, one of the most difficult places to win
year 3
in the country. I mean, or excuse me, year 3 of him, year 2 of the coordinators.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's a very difficult place to win, especially after expansion. And you've got this incredible stadium coming that you and I may have to find a way to get to. I love Chicago. Great town, and you're going to have this beautiful, beautiful new stadium right on the. You don't want to be bringing in a new coach unless freaking, Nick Saban says he wants to come to Northwestern. You're not making a change after this year. Where do you think they'll be at coming into this game? We just did our over-under podcast last week. Please go check that out if you haven't already. I had them at 4-4 coming into this game. I think you maybe had them a little better. So, I mean, Tulane, Western Illinois, Oregon, UCLA is the first 4. So
I have them coming in 4-5.
4-5. Oh, excuse me. I must have miscounted there.
Yeah, because it's week 10. Yep.
Week 10. Yep, of course. Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, so, yeah, we have them the same, coming in 4-5. And then you must have them getting an end-of-the-season win, Minnesota?
Nope, I have them getting 4 wins, 4-8.
Oh, 4-8 is over. Yeah, you're right. That's all it takes to get over. Yeah. No, I'm way more in on the over now, to be honest, after doing this deep dive. I see where you're coming from there. So, yeah, I could absolutely see this. I think they'll be a feisty team. I think that they're going to really circle this game as like, hey, this is a chance for us. What do you think offensive and defensive philosophy? We've kind of talked about McGarrigle and Lujan. How is Northwestern going to try and approach this game? How will they want to win? And then we'll talk the same for Michigan.
They want to win any way they can. Any way imaginable, whatever it takes. This team is built to run the football. I mean, Preston Stone gives them that element of balance, similar to what Michigan is hoping for from Bryce Underwood. But they're going to want to get the run going. They're going to want to do some things, find ways to exploit this team on the road. Probably it's playing at Wrigley at this time of the year. It's going to be windy. And I don't know how the wind conditions are going to factor in. It's normally a thing you have to think about playing in Champaign. But playing at a baseball stadium, that could be a factor. So they're going to have to find a way to get it done on the ground, which unfortunately plays into the strength of Michigan.
Yeah, last year it was almost dead even, 25 rushing attempts versus 24 passing attempts. That despite the fact that they were down for most of that game. So I would imagine that they would prefer a run-heavy attack this year in general, Northwestern would. But improved play at the quarterback position. I think balanced is probably the approach. I think they kind of want to do a lot of what Michigan does, play stout run defense and have a balanced offensive attack. That's why we've always kind of had respect for the program, is like they try and do things very similarly to the way Michigan does.
Yeah, they're going to just kind of operate very similarly, try not to beat themselves, which I mean was an issue in that game last year. But when it comes down to it against Michigan, I think they're just going to run out of talent. Like, I could see this game being one of those where it's close for a quarter or two. Northwestern road games can be tricky. I mean, the Dilio slide game or the 2018 game when Michigan was down 17-0, it was at Northwestern. So it can be tricky even if it's at Wrigley Field and not truly in Evanston.
No, it's November 15th in Chicago. I was at boot camp in Chicago through the month of November. It sucked. Like, that wind coming off of the lake is no joke. So it could be, depending on like what kind of just forecast we get there, which is a coin flip, it could be rough. And I mean, I think that it probably plays more into our hands for it to be an icy, windy defensive slugfest. But then again, like, they're probably thinking as well, like, yeah, keep this thing around 16-13 and then we'll hope to get lucky.
They just want a chance. That's all you want when you're at a home team and you're going to be an underdog of this magnitude. What do you got for the spread?
Out of respect for what I've seen from Lujan and from McGarrigle and from Braun, I'm going to put it at 21.5, which seems like a lot, but this is a big talent disparity here. And Chicago, we're very well represented in Chicago. We're always very well represented at the Northwestern home games. I think we'll be even more well represented at Wrigley Field. So I got it at 21.5, but you could talk me into 17.5, something like that. Where do you see it?
I hate that you followed up with 17.5 because that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel
surprisingly.
I mean, I think you're probably going to be right at 21.5 to like looking at where the season stacks up and everything. But I'll go with 17.5. Like, just assuming this was 0-0 versus 0-0, that's where I think it would be.
Sure. Yeah, I'm completely fine with that. Let me make a note of that. We'll see how close we are when it comes down. Tony, do you mind making notes of the spread predictions? You sweet man. Thank you, sir. All right. Anything else on Northwestern, brother?
No, let's go to Maryland.
All right, moving forward in time, despite going backwards to the end of the season, at Maryland, Saturday, November 22nd, one of the more guaranteed wins on the Michigan schedule, in my opinion. Did not play last year. But overall, Michigan has owned this rivalry. Let's talk about it, brother. 4-8 last year. Both of us locked in the under. I locked in this is the end of Mike Locksley. Mike Locksley might not even be coaching this game. He could be gone by the end of November, the way that I see this season unfolding. I would love to talk about all the talent they're bringing back, but there is none. So where do you want to go here?
Last season was bad. They were 4-8 last season with one conference win over USC, which is just bizarre to me. I can't make any sense of that. And every loss except for one was by 14 or more points. I really think it was the season from hell. I can't believe I'm going to say these words, in defense of Mike Locksley. Until last year, Maryland had won seven or more games and won a bowl game for 3 straight years.
That's something.
And now next year, he has the number 25 recruiting class in the country coming in. I don't think they're going to make a move this season.
Because of that recruiting
class.
That can change so quickly, though, if they start out 3-0 and then just drop 5 straight.
That's kind of the Maryland way. That's what they were pitching them on anyway.
Yeah, I just think that it's going to go so bad that they're going to start to lose those guys. And I'm just hearing some really weird stuff about the way that he's trying to.
25 classes coming in this year. They're freshmen.
Oh, got you. Yeah. The class that he's got coming in this year.
Correct. They're freshmen.
That would be the one defense of him staying. But I think they're winning 3 to 4 games again. I think it's going to be an ugly season again. And Maryland has some money. That's where the Under Armour money, they have all that Under Armour money. It's a really nice, cool stadium that Under Armour's put a lot of money into. If there's good coaches out there and you can convince those recruits to stay, I don't know. But I guess that's not the exercise here. Let's talk about what we saw on the field from them. They were first in scoring and 105th in opponent scoring. Both very bad. And then to fix that, they brought in Pep Hamilton, previously of the XFL DC Defenders, and most recently, unemployment.
And Michigan from a few years ago. Really funny, they're interchanging ex-Michigan coordinators, moving on from Josh Gaddis, bringing in Pep Hamilton to co-OC alongside Kevin Sumlin, which is just... It's kind of like a who's who of names, where it's are they good or are we just familiar with the name? That's what it feels like with this group here. And man, I have a hard time previewing this team because there are so many question marks across the entire roster. They only bring back 3 offensive starters and the defense only has 1 coming back. So make from that what you will.
It's not great. They threw for 21 touchdowns last year. They rushed for 15, averaged about 110 yards on the ground, 275 through the air. The air attack was okay, and that would be the one thing you would point to, be but they're not bringing any of those guys back, and Pep Hamilton is not the guy to just reinvigorate this offense. So I'm low on the offense. And then on the defensive side of the ball, they bring in Ted Monachino, comes to them from University of North Carolina, where he served as defensive analyst in 2023 before being elevated to the defensive line coach for 2024. North Carolina also completely overhauled their staff, so he must not have been doing that great of a job. So it's just not a staff I'm really high on. It starts at the top with Locksley. I don't like the amount of talent that they're returning on either side of the ball, and they've just got a lot to get cleaned up in order to get this thing trending in the right direction. Are you more confident in the offense or the defense taking a step forward this year, if one of them had to take a step forward?
It's really tough. Because on defense, I really like Dante Joyner, Indiana transfer corner. I think he's a stud. I think he's going to be one of the most underrated corners in the Big Ten. Got to do a lot of heavy lifting there. But I'm going to go with the offense because of 4-star freshman quarterback Malik Washington. If he wins the job and beats out Justin Martin from UCLA, I think that's how they start building the program forward. Get a good season under his belt. Just try to develop something there. Add a spark. Add something. Get a couple games out of this. Their over-under is putrid this season. It's set higher than I thought. It's at 4.5, which kind of shocks me. But
that's why it's a lock for under.
Yeah, we both went under on that. But if Malik Washington is a capable starter, I think that's going to go a long way for this team as they search for the next Talia Tagovailoa.
Yeah, and they've really struggled to find what their identity is after Talia. So where this falls on the schedule for Michigan, look, it's a run there. Purdue, bye week, Northwestern, Maryland. This should be the goal should be get better throughout all of these weeks. Just keep improving. Don't get caught napping. Maryland opens up with some winnable games, FAU, Northern Illinois, Towson. Then it goes at Wisconsin, Washington, Nebraska, at UCLA, Indiana, at Rutgers, at Illinois. So for Maryland, I think they're going to be in the midst of a really bad losing streak when this game falls on the schedule.
Do you think this team is better than last season's Maryland team?
No, I don't. There's too much turnover. I don't know how they could be. Talk me into that.
I'm with you. I don't.
Oh, okay.
I don't think they're better either. But also, I don't understand, how did they beat USC last year?
USC was an absolute anomaly. USC was the one we struggled with the most on our over-under, I think.
Yeah. It's like you look at that one, but then you look at some of the games on here. I mean, they avoid Penn State. They avoid Oregon. They avoid Ohio State. So, that's how you get to the over. If you're okay, this turnover was needed, similar to an Indiana situation. We got to just rebuild right now with these guys. You look at the schedule, okay, I could see a path to 5 wins.
So I've got them at 3-9. I locked in the under. I think the games that you got to get one of, at Wisconsin, at UCLA, they're all away.
I
that's
think
the thing. The gettable games.
Washington at home is one they're going to target, because Washington is a terrible road team, and that's a long travel trip.
It's a long journey. Yeah. I could see them potentially getting Washington. Washington's a much better team, though, at least on paper.
On paper. I mean, but also Washington was a team that went 6-7 last year. It's not like they were 9-3.
No, I didn't love them last year. I like where Washington's heading and what they're bringing back.
Yeah.
A lot of this is just looking at the talent and what they're bringing back. So offensive and defensive philosophy for each team. Again, I think what stood for Northwestern will stand for Maryland any way they can. But I think this is a team that probably wants to get the passing attack going, don't you?
They want to pass, and let's not forget, I mean, the last 2 times Michigan has played Maryland, it's been a 1-possession game. And those were much better Michigan team. I mean, all by much better Maryland teams. Those were much better Michigan teams as well. So Loxley has found a way to scheme Michigan up at times.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was at the game where I came out of there with some serious thoughts as Billy Edwards Jr. is driving the ball down our throat. And I'm like, what is happening right here? They have given us fits in years past. I just don't think this is as talented of a team. I liked the talent on some of those other Maryland. I mean, they have receivers. Maryland was putting a receiver into the NFL every single year. I don't know who that's going to be this year. A defensive philosophy, it's very difficult to predict. I really don't know. They completely changed it up, bringing in the North Carolina defensive analyst, Ted Monachino. So I don't know what their defensive philosophy is going to be. Hold on for dear life, I guess.
It'll be similar because Brian Williams was the one who left, but Azar Abdul-Rahim is still there. So, similar to the offensive situation, they have a co-DC lined up. So I think that'll help them out as well. But I don't know. It was a weird unit last year because they were 46th against the run. Very solid, very admirable. But number 128 at rushing the passer. It just didn't make any sense.
Have to do better than that. Yeah, they've got to improve in a lot of different places, and I just don't know that they have the coaching staff nor the talent in-house to do it. So let's get some spread predictions, brother. What do you got here?
23.5.
I got it at 30.5. I think we are going to just absolutely boat race this team. I do not like this Maryland team. I've made my thoughts very clear.
I love it, dude. Stand on it.
Yeah, I am standing on it. It is at Maryland, late November. Can get pretty cold there, but we love this. We don't care. Yeah, Jordan Marshall's going to be in peak form.
Also, was it 2018, the week before the game? I know I'm going in the way back machine a little bit. That Maryland took Ohio State down to the final possession in overtime. Yeah, 52-51. And that was a 5-6 Maryland team against a 10-1 Buckeyes team. So they could get a little frisky.
Worth noting that this is for Michigan, the game before the game.
Yep.
So where are you at mentally? Are you locked in? It will tell us a lot about that. So maybe 23.5 is better because they're pulling their guys once you get up by 21. Could be something worth looking into. But I'll stick with my 30.5 out of disrespect for Mike Loxley and Pep Hamilton.
I love this run-in for the game, though. This might be the ultimate.
100%.
I mean, you could talk me into maybe it's too cushiony with Purdue, bye week, Northwestern, Maryland, but in terms of resting guys up and getting ahead and just coasting a little bit, it's perfect.
Yeah, I might want to swap Northwestern out with a Wisconsin to just go up a tick. But I don't know how much better Wisconsin is than Northwestern, to be honest.
I was like, maybe that's the wrong one.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a big difference there.
That's the wrong one to swap out. But if a team's trying to get healthy, this is a perfect stretch.
Yeah, it is. We can play the second stringers and probably come out with victories for 4 straight. And there's a bye week in there as well. Yeah. Let's take a break before we do Ohio State, shall we? I think that we need to collect our thoughts. We'll come back with Ohio State. Then we are previewing the secondary. We'll be back right after this. All right, we are back. We are righteous men. We are previewing college football, which is very good. God, I love talking about actual games. It's giving me the chills, brother. And that's about to continue because we are talking Michigan versus Ohio State, something we've already talked a little bit. We had Zach Guggenheim on this podcast to talk state of the rivalry a few weeks ago. Would really highly encourage you to go check that out. We will obviously go deep on this game as it gets closer in the schedule. So this is the preliminary preview. I may or may not have a little something that I'm working on, a writing project.
There he is.
Regarding this game. He's back, baby. That'll be out here for the start of the season. But this is the big one. That's going to be going for 5 straight in this one versus Ohio State Saturday, November 29th, when God intended this game to be played. The end of November, right after Thanksgiving. There's no better time of the year. I mean, you can argue October, and I would accept that, but for Michigan fans and fans of the rivalry, this is peak right here. Last season, won 13-10 in Columbus. Should we just wax poetic about that for a moment?
We got a few minutes to kill. Why not?
Why not?
Man, what a tremendous afternoon that was.
What a day.
The game where, I don't know if we've ever been more discouraged going into a game. You and I were together, hanging out, getting ready to watch it. Brady pre-scored and goes down with an injury pre-game. The vibes are atrocious. We're just sitting there kind of holding with our collective breaths like, oh no, here it comes. Here it comes. But by halftime, we're like, hold on now. Are we going to do something here? And then the defense played one of the best halves of football I've ever seen.
Ever. I mean, the Bloody Marys were flowing early, as they always are and always shall be. But we're kind of like just a little bit more tepid, like not willing to let ourselves believe in this. But then the second half comes and there's the interceptions on the goal line, just the fact that they would drive down there and they would get into scoring position, but we would snuff it out. Of course, that happened to us a few times.
A 10-minute drive was snuffed out by a Jack Sawyer interception, and that about killed us.
That honestly about killed me because I've almost had so many heart attacks through these games. You've seen me collapse on the ground before and actually have to like wonder if we need to call paramedics.
Your chest during the 2022 Michigan game. And I was like, is this it? Is this the big one?
This is the big one. We've been waiting on this. It's all right. We've got life alert just for this. I mean, let's look into some of the stats from this absolute slobber knocker of a 13-10 game from the eventual national champions, mind you, who were averaging like 36 points a game once they got past Michigan. Not in this game. Davis Warren, 9 of 16 for 62 yards, 2 interceptions. That's a passer rating of not good. Kalel Mullings, 32 carries for $116 and a touchdown. Peyton O'Leary was your leading receiver with 1 catch for 18 yards. Will Howard in that game, 19 of 33 for $175, a touchdown, 2 crucial interceptions. Judkins ran for 46. Travion Henderson was bottled up, 10 carries for 21 yards. It was the defense. I don't even know if we need to talk about the Michigan offense whatsoever in that one outside of Kalel Mullings, who had himself a day. But it was, you said, the best half of defense you've ever seen. I have to agree. It might just because of the fact that you held this team to 10 points in Columbus and they went on to win the national championship. It might just be the best defensive performance I've ever seen, flat out.
Michigan shut out the Buckeyes in the second half and in the fourth quarter allowed 10 total yards and 3 feet of offense on their final possession.
So I'd like to open the discussion with a question I've asked, 115 times. How the hell did we win this game?
It makes no sense. It makes no sense, and now it's setting up for Michigan going for 5 in a row for the first time since Michigan won 6 in a row between 1922 and 1927, right before the Hoover administration.
When was fixed wing flight? Somewhere around then?
So the booming 20s were the last time that this kind of streak was going on for Michigan. That's what's on the table now after last year's unprecedented win. And whether we said it publicly or not, last year was the one we had circled like, okay, Ohio State gets it back. It ends here at home with this team. Michigan's rebuilding. We understand. But now, to borrow your argument, which is the best one I've heard for this year, Michigan is better by a mile. And we both think Ohio State is going to take a step.
And it's at the crib. It's coming back home.
In Ann Arbor.
In Ann Arbor, we did this last year in Columbus, comes back to Ann Arbor and they're replacing a ton. Forget about what they're replacing on the field. The fact that we were talking about the Lions Hall of Fame game a little bit off air and just how it didn't look very crisp. It's probably not going to look very crisp for Ohio State out of the gate either. Now, granted, where this falls for them, it's probably better for Ohio State most years that it falls at the end of the year because they always look way more gettable early season to me, in my opinion. I think they're going to look very gettable this year with just all the turnover. So they'll have some time for those coordinators to get into a groove and for Julian Sayin to get into a groove. But But yeah, the argument that I've been using all year, the most simple form of the argument is we're better, they're worse, it's at home. Talk me into Ohio State being favored in this game.
Buckeyes are paying a high success tax this offseason. We're seeing 13 starters, including 8 on defense. And on the coaching staff, they're replacing Chip Kelly, their offensive play caller. Brian Hartline takes over. We'll see if he gets full autonomy. He was also OC in 2022, but we know how that went. Matt Patricia is now coming back to be defensive coordinator for the Buckeyes. And as a lot of Lions fans listen to this pod, that one kind of made us smile in a weird, sick way because we remember what that was like.
Sure do. Don't really have many positive things to say about that. But Ohio State, they might not bring back a lot, but what they do bring back, oh boy, they can recruit. It starts at the top with Jeremiah Smith, who's up to 230 now. I saw some clips of him, and he is just a grown man. And like, if he were to go to the NFL next year, he'd probably be, or this year, he would probably be like a top 10 receiver already
I wonder
in the
if
NFL.
the extra weight will help him get over 40 yards against Michigan.
I love that you can't even let us say one thing nice before coming back.
No.
Attaboy.
Not gonna, after his offseason comments, no way.
No, there's no need for it. They also bring back Carnell Tate, pretty talented wide receiver. It seems like they're pretty high on their tight end room. Zach was very high on the tight ends
Max
that
Clare.
they have this year. Yeah, Max Clare and their ability to use the tight end. Julian Sayin, they're high on as well, but we have to see it first. And
he's got to win the job first.
He's got to win the job first. And again, whoever it is, like, this is tough coming into a very cold Ann Arbor, late November. Global warming's not doing us any favors here. Like, let's keep it cold and keep Ann Arbor cold. I want bitter, miserable, snowing. That would be lovely for Julian Sayin or whomever wins the job. Left guard they bring back. Center they bring back. I don't think it's the starting center, though.
It's the one that took over once the Alabama transfer got hurt.
That's right. Yep, you're right. Speaking of Alabama transfer, Caleb Downs coming back on defense. Davidson Igbinosun's back. Sonny Styles is back. So there's some guys there. It's not the Maryland level of turnover, but it's a lot. It is a lot, and it's a lot on the lines, which you and I usually, that's where our eyes go when we're looking at what you're bringing back, particularly in this game.
Yeah, sticking on offense first. So they bring back the 3 starters you mentioned, but they lose their 2 best guys in Donovan Jackson and Josh Simmons. So those losses can't be overstated. They bring in Rice transfer Ethan Oninawa and Minnesota transfer Phillip Daniels. They're both names to watch, kind of fill out this unit. The quarterback position we talked about, like, it's still an open battle. As of this past Saturday, they were splitting first-team reps between Julian Sayin and Lincoln Kienholz. It's expected that Sayin's going to win the job, but from what I read online, Sayin is the front runner, but he has been a little bit up and down. He has the higher ceiling, but he also has the lower lows, while Kienholz has been more consistent throughout camp. And with Texas coming to town week 1, you might just opt to go with the steady hand.
Yeah, I could see something like that. This was a juggernaut of an offense, despite only putting up 10 points against Michigan. Wink Martindale, you can stay as long as you want, brother. They had 37 passing touchdowns, 34 rushing touchdowns. Yeah. Balance. They were 10th in sacks allowed. It was tough to get after the quarterback. They were deadly through the air. They were efficient on the ground, except against Michigan. Like, go look at every other game that they played. Their offense was doing work, and they were really a juggernaut in the playoff run. And having to replace a lot of that offensive line, they seem high on the offensive line from what I've been reading.
Yeah.
Like, they think that offensive line is really trending in the right direction. Quarterback's going to have to be above average for that to matter. I mean, I don't think the offensive line will be better than it was last year. They only gave up 16 total sacks, 1 per game. That's really excellent. But then again, you lose Henderson and Judkins, who accounted for 34 scores on the ground, also having to be replaced there. So I'm a little down on them being able to replace both the rushing and passing totals of last year, but it'll still be a good offense.
Yeah, running back, it looks like WVU transfer CJ Donaldson's the guy. Living in this state, I can tell you he fumbles a lot. It's one of the reasons they kind of like helped him out of here. He's losing his job to Jaheim White anyway. But CJ Donaldson's expected to split time with the speedy James Peoples. Certainly not Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins level. And we talk about at the top, like, talent-wise, they're just taking such a step back. Like, I know Max Clare is good. I know they're high on Carnell Tate and a few other receivers. But, like, there's just not a lot of familiarity. New offensive coordinator, new play caller. I mean, I know Ryan Day can manufacture offense in his sleep, but he's going to have his work cut out for him.
Yes, most definitely. And with all those new bodies, I mean, Jeremiah Smith's going to have a monster year. He is going to be heavily featured.
Yeah.
Because of that, because of the fact that he's going to get doubled a lot, I think Carnell Tate's going to similarly have a big year, regardless of who's at quarterback. So It's Ohio State. It's Ryan Day. It's Hartline. They're going to be good on offense. It all really goes out the window when you come up against this Wink Martindale defense, who, God willing, were healthy, and Rod Moore's at 100%. We'll be able to throw some just crazy, crazy Wink Martindale madman stuff at them. Anything else on their offense before we switch sides of the ball?
No, I will like to point out that Ohio State has not lost more than 2 games in a season since 2011.
And we're thinking this could be we both predict them at 10-2, but I think 9-3 is more likely than 11-1.
I think we take him at 10-2, or did we take him at 9-3? I can't remember.
I believe 10-2.
Okay, I know we got Texas right off the bat, which does them no favors, but
Texas and Michigan are the losses that I got.
Yeah, even if we're predicting a down year, it's still flirting with double-digit wins. So.
I know, and probably a playoff appearance.
100%.
Yeah. That's just what it is at Ohio State. I mean, the recruiting has been outlandish, even for Ohio State. They just don't fall outside of the top 5. They're just constantly bringing in dudes. The transfer portal is working well for them. So there's talent all over the place. None of that matters. It just doesn't matter for the game we're talking about.
No, it doesn't. And defensively, I think this is where we're going to see the drop. I mean, this unit, very similar to Michigan's 2023 unit, was elite. They were first in scoring defense, first in total defense, top 5 against the rush and the pass. They only bring back 3 starters, but if you're going to pick 3 starters to bring back, I think these names would be towards the top of the list. And Igbinosun, Sonny Styles, and, of course, Caleb Downs.
Yeah, well, they have Matt Patricia as their defensive coordinator, who makes Bruce Valanche look like Jude Law. Like, he is just an oaf. There are so many taquitos in that man's beard. He needs a vacuum to get him out at the end of the day. Can't stand him. Never will like Matt Patricia. And everyone just being like, yeah, but he was awesome for the Patriots. I'm like, he was terrible as a head coach. He's never done this in college. Like, I don't understand. And look, I'm a known Matt Patricia hater, if you couldn't tell by what I just spewed about this poor guy. He's actually like a rocket scientist. He's super smart, but there is no reason to just assume automatically this is going to work. Can that guy, this like rocket scientist, like did not connect with the Lions players, can he connect with these kids that are far, far removed from his generation? I don't know. I tend to very much lean pessimistic with Matt Patricia there, but he was good under Bill Belichick. Worth noting that it was under Bill Belichick, pretty good defensive mind. So
And he's replacing Jim Knowles, who is one of the best college defensive coordinators in the country, who goes over to Penn State.
He gave up 13. Just wasn't good enough.
I know. He did his part in this game. I think the biggest question facing this defense, though, is they have to replace their entire defensive line.
There it is.
And it all comes down to that. When we talked to Zach, he talked about defensive tackle depth. I believe they had an injury there this week, so this team is already just questioning if they're going to be able to hold up against the run. And going against Michigan, that's not great.
You just hit it right there, that last point. Like, if you're an Ohio State fan, like, what's the one thing you want to be able to do against this Michigan team is, like, force them to pass. Do not let them run the ball down your throat in late November in their house. I think we are going to be able to run the ball in late November in our house, in hopefully a cold environment where Jordan Marshall has really got his footing. We got Justice Haynes. We got Volker back there. We got some other guys. Maybe Micah Capana is starting to pop at that point. We like our backfield. We're a little bit, I am at least, I won't speak for you on the offensive line. I'm in wait and see mode on our offensive line. I think it will be better than last year, though.
That's the point.
So I'm feeling more confident in our ability to run the ball this year than we did last year. So for Ohio State, that can't feel great that Michigan's starting to get back to that running mentality.
Not to mention the threat of the pass will exist this year for Michigan side of things.
Right.
So like they were facing 10-man boxes pretty consistently with Knowles. And Knowles also had the benefit of learning from experience and shortcomings. Look at 2022, 2023, 2024. He kept getting the margin closer. The defense kept doing their job, kept overperforming, but the offense couldn't get it done in those big games. And now you're asking a new defensive line to step up in here with a new defensive coordinator going against Michigan, who you talk about Ohio State having the advantage of this game being late in the season for the offense. So does Michigan's offensive line. That's a big key here as well.
It's a great point, and I don't really know what the Underwood-McCulley connection is going to be, but I can promise you here on Monday, August 4th, it's more explosive than Davis Warren to Peyton O'Leary. It's going to be more explosive than that. So there will be, like you said, some threat of a pass. You're not just going to be able to stack the box because McCulley's the kind of guy, and we'll see what they have at cornerback. You know, I mean, Igbinosun, pretty solid. Caleb Downs.
Cut down on the penalties.
Got to cut down on the penalties, and Caleb Downs can only do so much. But with just one safety back there, like you can scheme away from Caleb Downs, particularly with with Chip Lindsey coming in and what we've got out of the backfield, there are ways to throw away from Caleb Downs. And I don't know that he's like that kind of a safety where it's like, I heard him compared to Ed Reed by Joel Klatt, or no, by McShay. Did that, and I was like, hang on now.
Because he can't cover like Ed Reed. He's more of a box safety with the coverage skills still developing. They're going to keep him close, and Michigan likes to run at him. Look at the Alabama games where Max Bredesen ran over him, actually got a penalty on the play for being too violent and too good, I guess. And look at it last year. I think they're going to do a lot of things against Igbinosun and have him go against McCulley. And McCulley just to use that frame to kind of box him out, use that possession receiver mentality he has to move the sticks, and draw penalties on Igbinosun, who was the most penalized corner in college football last year.
Yeah, my comp for McCulley, based on just the Indiana tape, was like a souped-up Cornelius Johnson. Remember what Cornelius Johnson did in 2022? We're still on that apology tour. Yeah. Like to say thank you, and I'm sorry, CJ.
Exactly. I think he has more physicality than Cornelius Johnson and a better understanding of zone defenses from his time as quarterback.
Yep, absolutely. This was an excellent passing defense, too. They were number 3 in the nation, only allowed 167 per game, only 10 passing touchdowns, only allowed 13 rushing touchdowns. So it was a good defense last year. I don't think it'll be quite – actually, no, I'll go a little further. It won't be as good this year. I'll take it a step further.
It won't be as good. Like,
yeah. I'm going to take it a step further. Yeah.
The whole defensive line and 8 starters in total, they're not going to be as good. Like, they're going to take a step down. I don't think their coordinating position is as good. The schedule's harder. No, they're going to regress. And I think they're going to come into Ann Arbor as a rare underdog.
I don't know. Probably not, just because the way the national media sees this. Like, they're already predicting Ohio State repeating, and like, this is the year that they boat race Michigan. I'm like, you're not looking at the forest for the trees, guys.
No,
like,
that's
so
August,
we'll see.
August 4th talk. I think it'll be a lot different late November talk.
I'm with you there. We can talk a little bit about where it falls in the schedule. It's the same place every year.
As it should be.
I will say that the one noteworthy thing is that they've got Texas, we've got Oklahoma early on in our schedules, which I really like. Like, that is going to be a big measuring stick after. I think they got week 1, we got week 2 though.
Correct.
So by week 2, by the time our game concludes, we'll at least have some talking points there. But anything else about where this one falls in the schedule, I wouldn't change it for the world. This is where it belongs.
It falls perfectly 12 o'clock noon after Thanksgiving.
Yep. Predict Ohio State's record up to this point. I think we both had them so they would both be at 10-1 coming in. Yep. 10-1 coming in, both of us. Yep. Both see it the same. Then we would have Michigan at 9-2 coming in.
Correct. From our over-unders. Yep.
From our over-unders, yep. Offensive and defensive philosophy of each team, we've kind of covered that. Anything else you want to add? How Ohio State's going to want to win this year? I will add, I don't think that they're going to get suckered into the trying to beat us at our own game. I think they'll go out swinging with Jeremiah Smith this year.
I think that's what they're going to try to do, because I know last year that Ryan Day was hyper fixated on the stat that the team that's won the rushing battle every year since 2000 has won the game. And I think he got too obsessed with that. Also, Michigan baited it into it by running 5 and 6-man boxes. So schematically, it was the right thing to do. But I think 100%, like, maybe it's a mentality thing. I think they're going to force feed Jeremiah Smith for better or for worse.
I think so too. Spread prediction. I will say that if you removed the Ryan Day has a Michigan problem, if you removed the history of the game and just looked at it on paper, I think this is the closest it's been in a while. Was one of my takeaways looking at this. So I think that this is like where we're strong. They've got like some areas of vulnerability where they're strong. We potentially have some areas of vulnerability, give or take a rod more, which we'll talk about here at the end of this podcast. So where do you see this one, brother?
So I think 23, they were closer. I think
23 would be the other one. Yeah, I would agree. It's one of the closest. Yeah, I'm not like I think 10 toes down on that. But
Michigan was a 3-point favorite in that game. I think it's going to be very similar. I think Michigan's going to be favored by 1.5.
Yeah. Almost the exact same. Yeah. 1.5 for both of us on that one. Yeah. It's going to be coin flip in the predictions, and I think it'll be a tight game. I don't think it'll be one like a 42-23 game or whatever it was where we start to pull away from. I don't know if we have the horses for that kind of a race. So I think it'll be tight. I think the spread will be tight.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very close game. It's going to be interesting, though. I think that depends on the philosophy of Ryan Day. If they force feed Jeremiah Smith, that could lead to turnovers, especially with a first-year starting quarterback in the big house.
Yeah, and like, how is Underwood playing at this point in the season versus Sayin? How is our offensive line developing? How's their defensive line starting to get acclimated? There's a lot of data points we still need for this one.
Yeah, a lot's missing, but the point remains the same that you hit at the top. This Michigan team is substantially better from last year, and this Ohio State team is substantially worse.
There it is. I love it. Anything else on the greatest rivalry in the history of sports?
No, I do chuckle every time someone suggests the Iron Bowl is a better rivalry game, though.
Kick rocks. Adults are talking. Brother, it's time to preview the secondary. You know that this is what I live for. This is maybe my baby.
Lead the way.
Every single year I get so excited to talk about the secondary. It's my favorite position group, has been for a long time. Don't really know why. I think I just like the athleticism in space. I like the fact that you get to hit somebody, so I like it more than the wide receivers for that. You can be a big hitter. You can also be sticky in coverage. It's just cool. It's fun to watch. Some of the coolest players come through here. And no shortage of really exciting, really interesting players this year in the secondary. In fact, hot take number one, I won't say it's the best secondary coming in that we've covered. There's no Will Johnson, Jordan Lewis, Mikey Sainers still. It can't be that.
Bury the lead here.
I said Mikey Sainers still.
I know. I was like, come on now. Don't do that to me.
I said the man's name, but there's a plethora of names. There is a lot of names I like. There is depth. There is high ceiling depth. There is transfers that are really starting to show up. And rewatching some of last year, transfers have played a big role in Michigan's defense, particularly down the stretch run of things. So I'm extremely high on the secondary overall. What's your 30,000-foot view of the secondary?
I think the starting 5 to 7 cohesively are one of the best units Michigan's had. Like, it's hard to find a weakness amongst those, but I will say I am a little bit concerned about the corner depth.
Corner depth could be a concern. I like the names, but a lot of the names I like are young. Very young.
A lot of youth back there. I mean, youth throughout. So let's kind of just start at the top in a 4-2-5. Who are your 5 starters?
My 5 starters would be Jair Hill, Zeke Berry at your boundary corners. No surprises there. At safety, Brandon Hillman's got 1. Rod Moore? Question mark. If not Rod Moore, it's very interesting. TJ Metcalf, if not Rod Moore, or Mason Curtis, if not Rod Moore.
So I'm leaning, because of Rod Moore's injury timeline, I know he has everything mentally to play nickel, but I don't know if he'll have repped it as much. So I had Rod Moore at the safety next to Hillman, and I had Mason Curtis playing big nickel because he'd rep there in the spring. Yeah.
I love it. I mean, Mason Curtis feels like you got to get him onto the field. I tentatively had Tevis Metcalf there.
You mean
because TJ Metcalf, excuse me, I got these backwards here. Yeah, I had TJ Metcalf there, who Wink Martindale's been raving about.
Yes.
So that's exciting. Like, where his best place is on this defense, I don't know. So I put him at nickel. I love Mason Curtis. Get him closer to the line. That's a ton of fun. I kind of liked the idea of Hillman and Mason Curtis back there just because, like, a big hitter athlete next to, like, a really good ball skilled, gigantic human being that also can come up and hit. Like, that's just too fun for me to pass up. But yeah, those are my 5 right now. Obviously, the Rod Moore thing. Like, I think you and I still would love Rod Moore at nickel, but there's no way he's ready for that, right? Like, he'd probably be better off starting. I don't know. That's where this conversation is. We're missing data points once more.
Again, yeah, mentally he has it, but I think that leads us to a good point, though, because I think we have the same 6. I think we named Rod Moore, Brandon Hillman, Mason Curtis, Jair Hill, Zeke Berry, and then TJ Metcalf as the 6th. And after that, I actually had Caleb Anderson. Transfer. You mentioned that at the top. Caleb Anderson being a key piece here, has the history with Lamar Morgan, so I think him coming in is going to provide that steady hand to just be able to spell Berry or Hill when needed.
Yeah, I've got Caleb Anderson there. You've got the other Metcalf brother as well, Shamari Earls, who's going to be rocking the number 2. Got approval from Charles Woodson for that. That doesn't just happen. Josiah Edmond was one of the highest rated recruits.
JoJo.
Honestly, yep. JoJo Edmond, and he's big, he's fat, he's got all the tools. Haven't heard much about him, and left a lot to be desired when he did get on the field last year, which was sparingly, but still a name worth watching. Like, he could really be a key cog here. He could be one of the guys that, like, we need the depth. Yeah. If nothing else, Josiah Edmond would see the field this year just because we need the depth. Because you're right. It's like Jair Hill goes down. It's like, all right, Caleb Anderson's in there, and there is one of the good things about this secondary and the guys that they've recruited is you probably could play TJ or Tevis Metcalf at corner if need be. You probably could play Caleb Anderson there if need be.
You really nailed that, because in the spring they talked about repping so many guys at nickel because of that. And that kind of gives you that positionless feel as well, because maybe he's lined up at nickel, but he's playing boundary and there's a switch in the coverage after the snap. That kind of positional versatility is what Wink Martindale wakes up in the morning for. He's like, what if I put Rayshon Benny at free safety. And then he maps it out and goes from there. That's the kind of things he thinks up, though. And having a positionless secondary is what I think makes this unit so intriguing. And beyond those names, you have a lot of just kind of unproven guys. Jeremiah Lowe had the 2 picks in the spring game to get you excited. Jaden Mangum, don't forget about him, Michigan State transfer.
Still on the roster. Yep.
Most of last year with the injury. Jacob Oden, rising sophomore. And then just a handful of super talented but super young true freshmen.
Jaden Sanders, Jordan Young, Jacob Oden, Kano Winston, guys we like. Kano Winston is a guy I'm super, super high on. I just don't know if I'm high on him this year. Jacob Oden could be, but there's just guys in front of him. Safety is tough right now to break through at safety because we both got Hillman, lock him in, right?
Yep.
And as we go through these guys, I kind of want to have a conversation of ceiling. I think Brandon Hillman has an extremely high ceiling. Yeah. I think he can be an absolute stud. That's my Mason Curtis comp.
I know, but it's
he's 6'4". Yeah, and Bob Sanders, you need to have depth behind that. So it is good that there's a lot of safety depth. I feel good about safety depth, especially if Rod Moore's good to go week 1 and we get him all year. And then, Rod Moore, what more needs to be said? One of the smartest football players of all time. If he's at 100%, your point about this being one of the best secondaries we've covered is well taken. If he's not, it's a little bit more unproven. He makes a big difference in how I view this secondary. He's Caleb Downs level of good.
Yes.
There's just no way around it. He's that good. But if he can't go, then Mason Curtis, you're up. If it's not Mason Curtis, maybe it's one of the Metcalf guys or something like that. There's options there at safety. Does Mason Curtis have a higher ceiling than Rod Moore?
Yes, because of his size.
Mason Curtis, extremely high ceiling. This is a pro Mason Curtis podcast.
Very pro Mason Curtis podcast. With his size, you and I think his potential could even be at linebacker with what he does.
Mm-hmm. He's Alex Anzalone level.
He's
coverage.
Built like Kyle Hamilton, though. And that's how he runs around. And to get on the field as a true freshman speaks to his ceiling. And I think the one thing, regardless of Rod Moore being on the field or off the field, this secondary and this unit ceiling is higher because of the front 7 in front of them.
Great point. And the two, you wouldn't think, but they're inextricably linked because that extra half second that quarterback doesn't have, well, that's just even better for these guys to feast. And there's some good ball skills back here as well. I think this defense, and particularly the secondary that we're talking about now, can really force some turnovers. Mason Curtis had a pick last year. Brandon Hillman had a low-key. Amir Hall was incredible down the stretch. Yes. He's gone now, but I like what these Metcalf boys can bring as well, particularly TJ, who we're hearing some stuff about as well. Let's go to corner then, where it's Jair Hill and it's Zeke Berry locked. Both of them locked in. Hearing good things. TJ Guy says Jair Hill's coming along, which is great because Zeke Berry.
Come on.
I texted you this the other week. I texted you this the other day, and it hurt because you know how I feel about Jair Hill. Though Zeke Berry, also one of my guys. Zeke Berry outplayed Jair Hill in the last 4 weeks of the season. He just did. Yeah. He was better at a boundary corner than Jair Hill was. Jair Hill had some discipline stuff. He's gotten a lot of reps, which you got to love about Jair Hill, and also has shown some flashes. Which of these guys has the higher ceiling is a fascinating question.
Man, I'm so torn. I lean right now Zeke Berry just because of the
size,
physicality, positional versatility a little bit as well, because I think he could also play safety. He got a lot of reps across the field last year. You and I were hard on him during the year because he struggled at nickel. He struggled to understand it. The Scholars put it really well. He just had too much to think about. Then, with injuries, he was forced out to boundary to fill in for Will Johnson. And it was all right, just go play ball. And he excelled. And once he got his confidence back and he kicked back into nickel during the bowl game against Alabama, he was phenomenal. And I think we're only going to see that continue to tick up. And just for people that don't understand why we're so optimistic, the last time we saw this secondary, they held Jeremiah Smith to 4 for 35, and Ryan Williams from Alabama had fewer receiving yards than Michigan's Joe Taylor in the same game. We're not going to temper expectations here.
No, certainly not. Not for the secondary, where I just love a lot of these guys here. And yeah, you mentioned Zeke Berry going back to nickel and looking much better. We'd pencil him in there, but there's just not the depth at cornerback. He probably has to play boundary this year because there's just not enough. Unless you tell me Shamari Earls is too good to keep off the field as a true freshman, that doesn't happen very often with the secondary, where there's a true freshman back there that is just that sound, schematically, tackling tackling wise, gets the size up. It's possible. It's not unheard of, but I think Josiah Edmond would be more likely if someone pops and then allows you to get a little bit weird with Zeke Berry. Maybe it's JoJo Edmond or Caleb Anderson too. I don't want to like Caleb Anderson. I think
he's
that
big too. He's
oftentimes
6'2".
He's big. These guys are all big.
Yeah.
This is a big secondary. They've really made a push in recent years to up the size there. So, yeah, Zeke Berry, I'll lean as well, slightly higher ceiling because of that physicality. Like, he's a hitter. Like, he's ripping balls away from dudes. Like, who was that I just watched? Was that Northwestern that he ripped that ball up? Minnesota. Yeah, that was right. It was just a highlight that I shared. But, yeah, against Minnesota, like, he's physical. So, really high on that. And then Jair Hill's been my guy. The guy, he was the one that, he was a year and a half out, and I was penciling him in to take over for Will Johnson. So I've got a lot of Jair Hill stock, so I need him to hit for me. And hearing TJ Guy said that he's taking a leap this year, that warms the cockles of the heart.
It's funny, too, because Jair Hill has been getting the way too early mock draft buzz. And I think that's just people picking a name because it was Zeke Berry who led this team in picks and PBUs last year and played 3 different positions. And you look around the front and everyone's like, oh, they're losing this piece, they're losing that piece. It reminds me so much of the 2022 no-star defense. That defense that lost Aiden Hutchinson, Dax Hill, Josh Ross, David Ojabo, Vincent Gray, all this experience. It's all out the door. Are they going to get? You don't get better losing Aiden Hutchinson and all these pieces, and they found a way to get better in every statistical category on the defense. I think that's what you're going to see from this unit as well, despite losing the Mason Grahams, the Kenneth Grants, and the Will Johnsons.
It's a great take. And then look what happened. Guys became stars.
Yes.
Towards the end of that 2022 season. And there's a handful of guys here that could do it. Rod Moore with a healthy season will be a star because he'll be a second round draft pick, depending on how that knee's holding up. It was ACL and PCL?
ACL,
is that what
MCL, both meniscuses, and then like the bones were like intruding upon each other or something, and like that's why it required the second surgery. It was awful. It was pretty much hell. The fact that he's just walking and running again is a revelation.
Yeah, he had to have the same process done that they used to like reconstruct Stegosaurus fossils, like in the Museum of Natural History. It's like not great, but they said he's at 85%. The last update we got, 85% of Rod Moore is still a hell of a safety.
It still might be the best safety on this team. That's how good Rod Moore can be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that there's stars to emerge here. We've mentioned Mason Curtis, Jair Hill, Zeke Berry. Those would be the names that I would look to. But then besides that, at nickel, I don't think that I'm worried because there's so many names here, but there's not like a clear answer at nickel.
I'm worried about nickel in the sense if Rod Moore can't go and they're breaking in a new name there about Oklahoma. Like, because you got to make the calls. You got to be a big communicator there. This unit is going to be helped so much by having the experience in front of them of the Ernest Hausman wearing the green dot and understanding so much of the defense. But that nickel is still such a vital piece. And if it's a TJ Metcalf, is he going to have everything down front and back? I know we've heard rave reviews in the fall camp, but that's just fall camp. Being on the road against an SEC opponent is going to be a different beast. And if you want to just nitpick something to be concerned about, I think that's where mine would.
Yeah, he's coming from the SEC, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
but you're playing with a completely different defense, and like at Oklahoma, it's a lot different. This isn't Arkansas's defense.
No doubt about it. So yeah, Metcalf's going to be a part of this. I think Anderson plays a lot as well. I think both of those guys. Mangum, a little bit of a wild card here. It'd be nice to have him and be able to count on him as well, particularly if Rod Moore can't go. Not sure that he's a nickel option there. I haven't really seen enough of him to go there. And then the last piece of this is the young guys. We've said the names: Shamari Earls, Jaden Sanders, Josiah Edmonds, Jacob Oden, Jordan Young, Kano Winston. If you had to pick one of these names to see the field this year, who do you got?
Earls in a landslide. All signs are pointing there. The names I've seen repping at nickel were Zeke, Mason Curtis, Brandon Hillman, Rod Moore, TJ Metcalf, and Shamari Earls. I think he's smart to do that as well because just try to find a way onto the field. But I think his home's going to be at boundary corner. Even when he signed,
he's for sure a boundary corner.
You and I were like, this is the guy. This is the one. He has the body. He has the mindset. He has everything it takes to be a great Michigan corner. And he's rocking the number 2. Come on.
Clean. It's clean. So I also like the name Shamari Earls,
Fantastic.
number 2. It's clean. It's very clean. All right. So rate these position groups for me. Defensive line, linebacker, secondary. What's the 1, 2, 3 here?
I think linebacker is number one for me.
Ooh,
like
above D-line.
I know the answers because they're all coming back.
Yeah.
Like we still have to find some things on the defensive front. Defensive edge depth has to be proven over a little bit. Our top 4 are coming back at linebacker, and they have Cole Sullivan, who's become a mutant in the offseason, and you're bringing in Troy Bowles. Like,
it's a good argument.
I feel fantastic about linebackers. I'm going number 1 there. Did you separate safeties and corners or just secondary?
I didn't, but we can if you'd like to do that.
Yeah, I would like to separate that because I think next I would go defensive line, then I would go safeties, and then I would go corners. And how much we just raved about this secondary, I have them at the bottom of this list because that's how highly I think of this defense.
Yeah, this is not like in years past where we'd be like, man, I don't know. There's a big gaping hole. There's no gaping holes here. It is absolutely not. Especially if everyone's healthy, there are no holes on this defense. There's depth all over. Cornerback depth is like, okay, like let's keep an eye on it. And if Jair Hill goes out week 1, yeah, okay, we're going to start, maybe like raising the red flag a little bit. But as of right now, with Rod Moore improving, Jair Hill improving, Zeke Berry improving, having them last is no knock in this. And I would agree. I still had D-line first just because this is D-line U, and the trust there is marrow deep. But your linebacker point is well taken. I'm not going to argue.
Like they're all back. It's all a strength in the front 7. But think how important is that stretch now. I mean, not to mention in the beginning, having New Mexico and Central Michigan to get these young guys reps and experience. But think about the guys you're keeping in the back pocket that you don't want to blow their red shirt with. They can still get 4 games of having Purdue, Northwestern, and Maryland into Ohio State. Ohio State could be a 4th game for Shamari Earls, and he could still keep his eligibility.
Very good point. I have a lot of Jacob Oden stock, too.
That's your
I'd
boy.
love to see him get on the field. That is my boy. I just like the way he handles himself, the way he's a leader. So, yeah. Hoping for him. And then Kano Winston, give me a break. That might be the jersey if Winston breaks onto the starter.
He's a
unit,
stud.
or even just gets on the field. Yeah,
stud out of the DMV. Same high school as Caleb Williams and Evan Link.
Okay, then. Does Evan Link have a brighter future than Caleb Williams? People are talking.
We'll see. Also, it can't be I'd be remiss if we didn't mention Lamar Morgan coaching this unit has done a tremendous job. He could be the next defensive coordinator at Michigan. It wouldn't surprise me. And also Wink Martindale in year 2, understanding this unit, another unit of understanding him and what he wants to do. I sent you guys a sim pressure he ran in the Alabama game because I was just blown away with.
It's like 6 weeks ago you sent that too.
Using Brandon Hillman as the 4th rusher and how well everything went up front and how complex it is and how layered it is. Having another year of understanding him and him understanding the team. That's why I think, again, the arrow is just pointing up for all positions.
I'm with you, man. Very high on this secondary. What do we still have left to preview? I know we got defensive line, tight ends, running backs.
We've done tight ends, I think.
Oh, we've done tight ends.
Yeah.
Did we?
I think.
I'm not positive about that. I know we did receivers. We'll go back and check the tapes.
We need to
check the goddamn clips, Robbie.
I know we have defensive line, and then if you want to do specialists, I think we could do specialists.
Specialists as well, but we're getting there. We're getting there. Only a couple more of these. Yeah, we're almost there. The season is almost here. So next week we will do one more, probably do defensive line if we haven't done tight ends. We may have a special guest next week, and if we haven't done tight ends, that would be a fitting one for that one. But yeah, we will next week do weeks 7, 8, and 9 in our previews. Keep moving backwards towards the start of the season. We'll open up the mailbag at Out of the Blue, OOTB Sports 20 at gmail.com.
Yes.
Please reach out. We'll do some mailbag stuff now that we're getting closer to the season. You're going to want to tune in next week for the promotion as well.
Yes.
Could be a 2-podcast week, but we'll talk about it on both if we end up doing 2 podcasts next week. We are locking in as it is the month of August, and this is a football month, folks. Cannot wait to be with you for the duration of the season. Anything else from you before we get out of here, brother?
No, man. Excited to be back like Seabiscuit, running full steam ahead.
I love that that's a real thing. So that's your name now moving forward.
Fine with this.
Shout out to producer Tony. Make sure you're following us on all the socials. He's doing incredible work out there. Please share our stuff. Really trying to grow this year. We really appreciate you. I'm Jared. That's Andy. This is Out of the Blue. We'd like to remind you that wherever you go, go blue.